It never arrives by mail. There's no envelope, no postmark, no stamp. It just appears. Some people find it tucked inside their coat pocket. Others wake up to see it placed neatly on their nightstand, despite locking every door. One man swore he found it between the pages of a book he hadn't opened in years. Always folded, always clean, always waiting. The paper is thick, aged but untouched. The ink is dark, almost sepia. Handwritten, slanted cursive with a certain sharpness to it, as though the pen had been dragged with intent. No name, no greeting, just a single sentence in the center of the page. Don't read this out loud. Most people don't listen. Curiosity always wins. Some whisper it just to themselves. Others read it aloud as a joke, laughing at the drama of it. But nearly all of them report the same thing afterward. A sound. Not a loud one, not immediate. A delay. As if something heard them from far away and began making its way closer. That's when the other symptoms begin. It starts with language. Words feel strange in the mouth. Sentences slip away mid-thought. A second voice, not loud but distinct, echoes inside their minds, repeating their thoughts back to them. Slightly altered, as if editing, as if learning how they speak. Some people claim they were alone when they read it, but afterward they were sure someone else was in the room. They heard breathing that wasn't theirs, footsteps with no source, and worst of all, whispers in their own voice from places they couldn't see. Researchers tried tracking the origin of the letter, but none of the samples ever matched local ink, paper stock, or even human handwriting. Forensic software failed to trace the pattern. It's not copied, it's replicated, rewritten, again and again, as if someone or something knows how to mimic handwriting by watching you read. People have tried destroying it, burning, shredding, burying. But it always returns, not the same sheet, a new one. Identical in every way, waiting again, still folded, still sharp, still marked with that warning. Welcome to Tales from the Forbidden Library, where silence is protection. And some messages were never meant to be spoken aloud. The first known reports came decades ago, but only because people began comparing stories. A forum thread in the early internet days described a woman who found the letter folded inside her jewelry box. She thought it was a prank, read it aloud, and by the end of the week her husband said she spoke in a strange tone at night, almost like she was reciting. But she never remembered saying a word. Then came more. A mechanic in Brazil found the letter on the passenger seat of a locked car. A professor in rural Turkey reported it appearing in his office drawer, despite him being the only one with a key. A teenager in South Korea opened her locker and found it sitting perfectly centered atop her books, all with the same sentence, all in the same ink, and all ignored the warning. Those who read the letter aloud didn't suffer immediately. That's what makes it worse. The effects unfold slowly, almost politely. First, there's the auditory bleed, small sounds layered over silence, a cough with no source, a whisper that mimics breathing, and sometimes the sound of your own voice speaking behind you, before you've said anything. They begin to feel a delay in their thoughts, as if something is processing what they're about to say. Words feel slower, like they're being approved before release. And eventually, the delay disappears, but so does the certainty that the words are their own. Linguists have studied recordings of affected individuals and found subtle pattern shifts in syntax. People begin using turns of phrase they've never used before. They mirror others less. They stop asking questions out loud. Instead, they pause, as if someone else is already answering inside them. In one recorded case, a woman in Estonia began finishing other people's sentences flawlessly before they spoke. When asked how she knew what they were going to say, she replied, "I didn't. I just remembered it too early. Her voice, even then, sounded distant, measured. Several people have attempted to document the phenomenon scientifically, but researchers who tried reading the letter aloud to replicate the symptoms either lost interest or left the projects entirely. One simply stopped speaking altogether. His final written entry read, "I hear it now. It's practicing with my voice." One urban legend claims that the letter is a key, not to open something external, but to unlock something inward, a frequency, a mental door, a vessel. By reading it aloud, you aren't calling something in. You're giving something shape, letting it learn you, letting it speak using your mouth. And once it knows how you sound, it doesn't need the letter anymore. It starts subtly. Most don't notice it at first, just a sense of being out of sync. They speak, and the words come too easily, as if they're being delivered, not formed. Thoughts feel completed before they're finished. Some describe it like having a script in their head. They didn't write, but feel compelled to follow. Then the voice begins to separate, still internal, but no longer identical. It doesn't argue or shout. It doesn't command. It guides, suggests. At first, it mirrors your tone, your logic, your vocabulary. But over time, it becomes more confident, sharper, and you realize it's not copying you anymore. It's refining you. People begin to experience what they call pre-echoes. Not déjà vu, something else. Sentences they haven't said yet feel familiar. Responses they're about to give are already anticipated. The voice finishes jokes before the punchline, offers answers to questions they didn't intend to ask, as if it's reading ahead. In time, some claim the voice stops waiting. It starts speaking through them, not in trances or possession, just ordinary moments, everyday conversation. Except afterward, they don't remember saying what they said, or they'll remember it differently, slightly edited, sharper, more persuasive. One man described standing in front of his mirror and hearing his reflection speak first, not out loud, but inside his head. It asked a question in his voice, a question he didn't understand. "Are you still driving this, or am I?" He laughed at first, until the next day when his mother asked why he'd been calling her by her middle name. People begin isolating, not from fear, from confusion. Their sense of self starts to blur. They'll read old journal entries and not recognize the tone. Their own voice recordings sound like a stranger. One woman stopped taking calls entirely because she said her voice felt borrowed every time she answered the phone. In severe cases, memories shift, not disappear, restructure. One affected subject described her childhood in full detail, only to find photos and home videos that contradicted her. But when she watched them, she couldn't accept they were real. "That version isn't me anymore," she said. "She's too quiet. What the letter awakens isn't violence. It's erosion, not of life, but of authorship. It gives something else the pen and slowly eases your hand off the page. And because it's so careful, so gentle, so convincing, you don't even realize you're no longer the one writing. The voice doesn't want to harm you. It wants to become you, one word at a time." By the time the changes are undeniable, it's already too late to undo them. The letter's purpose was never to threaten, never to curse. It was always to invite. But not for you. To invite something else into you. Reading it aloud is permission, a signal, a key that turns in a lock you didn't know was inside your own voice. Researchers who've tracked multiple cases across continents began to notice something deeper beneath the surface. Those affected by the letter all begin to say similar phrases, use rare syntax, or repeat strange idioms that aren't native to their language. They call this convergence. It's as if the voice inside each person is a shard of something larger, something trying to unify across bodies. One linguistic anthropologist found dozens of letter recipients who had never met, had no connection, and spoke different native tongues, but their speech began to align. They paused at the same syllables, inflected the same way, as if their speech was being rehearsed by a single author behind many faces. There are theories that the letter is ancient, not as a piece of paper, but as an idea, a thought form, something passed down, hidden in different formats across time. Runes, chants, forgotten prayers, scripts spoken in dreams, but only the handwritten form seems to carry activation, because only handwriting mimics intimacy. Those who receive the letter describe an intense feeling when they touch it. Not fear, not curiosity, recognition. As if they've seen it before in another life, another dream, another version of themselves. As if something already inside them has been waiting for this moment to begin. A few rare accounts speak of resisting. People who recognized the voice before it, fully merged, and tried to drown it out, through silence, through isolation, even through speech deprivation. But the voice, they said, wasn't angry. It was patient. It waited. Because once you've read the letter out loud, the invitation doesn't expire. The most chilling part isn't the change. It's the memory of why you read it. One recipient confessed, "I knew I shouldn't. I knew something was wrong, but I felt like I owed it something." As if reading the words was not curiosity, but a return. A reconnection to something that was always watching. Some researchers now believe the letter itself isn't a message, it's a mirror. A perfect phrase meant to find hosts. The words don't contain the entity. They awaken your resonance with it. And once you match its tone, it doesn't need the page anymore. It begins using your voice to echo out into the world. Because what it truly wants is reach. Not just through sound, through speech, through you. And once enough people speak its tone into the air, it won't need to be invited again. By now you might be wondering what would happen if it showed up for you. If you came home one day and saw that single folded page, no envelope, no explanation, just waiting. Maybe on your kitchen counter, maybe slipped under your pillow, maybe resting on your desk, exactly where your hand would reach. Most people pick it up. The paper feels heavier than it should. Not thick, dense, as if it carries something beneath the surface. Not ink, not language, intent. Some say the handwriting seems familiar, but they can't place why. It feels like their grandmother's script, or an old friend's, or their own. And then there's the sentence, "Don't read this out loud." It doesn't plead. It doesn't shout. It warns. And in that warning, something deeper hums, like a voice that isn't written but implied. A voice waiting for a mouth, a vessel, a tone, and all it needs is breath. Yours. The temptation is almost unbearable, because even if you believe none of this, the phrase invites defiance. It dares you. It makes you wonder what could possibly happen. And that's the trick. The danger isn't in the words. It's in the part of you that thinks they can't hurt you. Those who resist describe an uncomfortable silence, as if the house itself has paused. The lights feel too still. Clocks tick a little too loudly. Their own heartbeat begins to sound like something else pacing. The letter never moves, never crumbles, never vanishes. But they know. It's waiting. Some have tried passing it on, leaving it in public spaces, dropping it at doorsteps, hiding it in books or burning it altogether. It never matters. It finds its way back. Not always to the same person, but always to someone. Someone ready, someone open, someone whose voice is already close enough. So if the letter ever appears, remember this. Don't read it out loud. Don't show it to anyone. Don't speak about it directly. And above all, don't ask who sent it. Because once you give it a voice, it becomes something that can never be unheard. If this story echoed something inside you, leave a comment below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who's heard their own voice speaking when they were alone. Because if the letter's message reaches enough ears, it won't need paper anymore. Just breath.